It's no good. I'm not sure my blackberries are going to be juicy enough. What are you...
Silence! I'm sick of the people on Twitter. I've told you.
Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of Review to a Kill. My name's James, and I'm a big James Bond fan.
And my name's Tom, and I think I aimed a bit high with this one, did I? I haven't seen the Bond movies.
He's new to Bond, but as you can see, he's really flung himself into it. Yeah. You know, he's given it both barrels. Each episode, we'll be analysing a different film from the series. From the point of view of me watching it for the millionth time and Tom watching it for the first time, and it seems to have had quite an impact on him, don't you know? Now, as we say before every episode, there will be...
spoilers!
Spoilers!
Yeah.
And Tom dressing up.
Yes.
So you want to avoid spoilers, okay? So if you've not seen the movie that we're going to talk about, please switch off now, watch the movie, and then come back, because otherwise we will spoil this movie for you. Now, before we move to this week's movie and whatever that is, we're going to go back and talk about our last episode, episode 11, which of course was Moonraker. We always want to hear from you. Do leave a comment, or you can just tweet us if you like, and at Review Kill Show. If you'd like to get in touch with us about any of our offerings or Tom's sartorial elegance or whatever it is that you might like to talk to us about. And that's exactly what some of these people have done with regard to in episode 11, our Moonraker episode, because it's time for Feedback Corner.
That was rubbish.
I like it. That's good. No.
I should have got my Glockenspiel out. I was trying to find my Glockenspiel.
No, to be honest, of your problems right now, that's the least.
Maybe the loss of circulation to my brain.
That would probably be a part of it. Yes, that may not be. If you collapse, do I carry on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fine, good. Right, Feedback Corner. Enlightenment 789 says this film looks fantastic. This is Moonraker on the big screen. By this time, the film had moved away from thrillers and were more just family films with a bit of wink for the mums and dads to enjoy, like Benny Hill. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd say Moonraker was like Benny Hill, but I do take your point. It was definitely a long way from the original thrillers. Our friend Robert Crook, who contacts us occasionally,
he does,
says, well done on another great review. Mr. Douches.
Yeah,
we didn't do any douches.
We'll
get douches in tonight for you, Robert. I loved Moonraker when it came out. I think I was at the right age. Another Roger boat chase, that's 3 in 4 movies. Classic formula for a Bond with a big villain base, a big explosive ending, and a world domination theme, which I think is something we talked about last time. It was also the first Bond, he says, where I started to recognise all the product placement. 7-Up, Seiko watches, Marlboro cigarettes, and British Airways, of course, when the guy goes through the...
I was thinking about doing a gag about that, but it turned out to be quite expensive. I mean...
What, hiring the plane?
Was quite expensive. I suppose we could have got some 7-Up in, but that was about it, really.
Yeah, that was as close as we get. Anyway, so thank you for your observations, Robert. Always lovely to hear from you. Please keep them coming. Fidge Jufter.
Yeah, that's Phil.
This is your friend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Phil. Now, we have a tie on the BondBoard. Live and Let Die and Moonraker have both scored 179 points, and Phil has given this an enormous amount of critical thinking to try and... He's put way more effort into this than I do, I promise you. He says there are 3 possible ways to break the tie.
Yes.
One is, which I'll run by both of you now for your opinion. One is to rescore to a higher precision. 1 decimal place should be sufficient.
Yeah.
So we rescore everything with a decimal point and see who comes out the highest. The second is to consider temporal efficiency. Moonraker took 126 minutes to rack up the points, whereas Live and Let Die achieved it 5 minutes faster.
Yeah, that's stupid, that one.
Okay.
Filmed slightly quicker, so it was better, faster.
Because it was faster.
That's not.
Finally, financial efficiency. Now, he could be onto something here. Moonraker, he's worked out, and God love him for doing this, he's worked out that for the budgets on the respective movie, Moonraker cost £189,900 per point that we awarded it, right? Whereas Live and Let Die, a comparatively frugal, £39,100 per point that we awarded it. So I can see his point there. Live and Let Die is shorter and cheaper, but we marked it the same as Moonraker.
The other thing is, does it really matter if some of the scores are the same?
Well, obviously it does to Phil.
Well,
we need to keep our viewers satisfied.
Well, but we haven't spoken about this.
179A and 179B. I don't know. We'll figure out.
Would you mind if I removed the neck brace?
Given how much you're sweating and the fact you've gone red, I think it would be a very advisable.
I thought this.
thing
I've got
to
a
do.
fan right here. I thought without.
There we are.
Whoa.
That looks so much better. Right, Joe Mills says this. She's never contacted us before. Hello, Joe. Welcome to Review to a Kill. He says, this is my first review to a kill. Is the spell casting thing from Nightmare?
Yes.
Now, it is, isn't it? I hadn't spotted this because I'm older than you. I was a bit too old for
Slightly
Nightmare.
older,
Really.
For kids' TV, it is very.
That was like Games Master, wasn't it? It was.
Well,
video
it was
games
computer
thing.
game based. It was like a virtual reality world, but
was it.
from the 80s.
Right.
With little kids, and there was one that had like a big helmet on, so he couldn't see.
Password.
And his three mates could see where he was and had to guide him.
Try red, blue, green and grey.
Red, green, blue and grey.
No, Chris.
With their little boy voices.
What?
Red, blue.
Nasty.
Anyway, thank you very much, Joe, and welcome along. Thank you for getting in touch with us. Do subscribe, by the way, if you haven't subscribed.
Yes.
Please do. We need the subscribers. My friend Tracy's been in touch. She's developing a bit of a thing for you. I mean, I can't blame her. I mean, you know what? How could you not? You know. She says, "Brilliant! I learned and laughed so much." That's very kind of her, isn't it? You guys have such a good time making these. It's very apparent, which is lovely, isn't it? She also was disappointed that you didn't take up her offer on doing your hair. In the plaits. As you can see, he hasn't this time either, which would have improved things greatly. No end.
I just
Anyway,
realised how I just fancy trying to get a drink with one arm. Just for a laugh.
Shall I do that?
No,
for you?
I'm just going to do it because I didn't fancy using this. Maybe
Your cat can help. Well done, Sooty. Well done.
No, the name's Scratches.
Of course it is.
It's also a disclaimer.
Very good. Legally different. Right. So thank you very much, Tracy. And by the way, she loves the way that you pointed out the likeness of Michael Lonsdale to Peter Dinklage. I'd never spotted that before.
Well, it's
You're right. He's like a big Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, he looks a bit like him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does a bit. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy, and hello to Mrs. Wallace, our most mature fan. Hello, Mrs. Wallace. Betty, if we may be so bold. The three of us send our best wishes. And finally, we have heard from the official nice person.
This hand isn't working.
There we are. I'm just gonna. It's the official nice person, Queenie Colombo, who says she can't believe Bob from Blockbusters was the original James Bond, by the way. Yeah. Brilliant. She says Moonraker is the film that made me a Bond fan. It's so fantastical. I love it. Moonraker was the first Bond film I saw at the cinema. Holly was so exciting, a scientist who was not afraid to fight. We talked about that, didn't we? Kick-ass Bond girls and all that.
We liked it.
So, and she also says, great suggestion from a fellow viewer to have Tom's plot summary near the top of the show.
Well,
where you'll be pleased to hear that's staying. It's coming up in just a moment.
I had some further feedback. Some people were a bit annoyed that I sort of edited it, and I was a bit worried that because it goes on and on
5 minutes
and
wasn't
on
long
and
enough.
on. Yeah.
No, normally you're 23, 24
so
minutes.
Don't worry, folks. It's plenty long this time.
Plenty long enough this time. Don't worry, the cat's going to keep me occupied. It's actually quite creepy looking at that, doing that while I'm trying to... Anyway, Queenie Colombo says, you're fast becoming my favourite podcast. So thank you very much, Queenie Colombo. That's
not
a
a podcast,
lovely...
is it?
You channel show.
Don't make me do my news voice
Tube.
impression again.
Sorry, you show tube voice thing. So thank you very much, Queenie Colombo. And unless you have any more,
No.
no, that's it. That is this week's Feedback Corner. Nice.
Yeah.
Just before we move on, by the way, to this week's episode, you may notice I've got a bit of a cold, so if I get a bit croaky,
Yeah, all right. You
sorry,
sound all right.
I'm
Actually,
sorry.
I was a bit worried.
I'll do my best. Although of the two of us, I feel the most normal compared to what I'm seeing here to my
Right.
left. Shall we move on to
What are we doing?
our episode?
Yeah.
Well, this is episode 12, and we've done Moonraker. We are proceeding chronologically through the Bond films, which of course means we are now up to the 12th movie, which is... Nice! It's almost as if Sheena Easton was in the room. For your eyes only. Which, according to Tom's French chart, and I've just been in France, so I'm basically fluent now.
Well, you say that because I've seen this one. It's a bit of a...
Is it?
a big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
According to Tom's French chart, For Your Eyes Only is... Oh, bloody hell, actually, that is a bit complicated. Hang on.
Don't fancy your chances.
Hold on, where's my glasses? Right. Rien que pour vos yeux. Hold on, let me try that again.
No, that was
was
good.
just those were just noises. Hold
Yeah.
on. Rien, that would be rien.
Yeah.
Rien,
Yeah.
rien que pour vos yeux. Only for your eyes, I think
Yeah.
is the literal translation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vos yeux.
But don't let people bully you. And
Thank you.
for having glasses. I've actually set up a support group for people who wear glasses.
Thank you.
It's called For Four Eyes Only.
Boom, boom.
Not really.
Try the veal.
It's
Very
called
good.
the SG, the Specky Git Support Group. Yeah. Well,
Right. Well, whatever we're calling it,
I'm actually
it's
a
for
bit-
your eyes only.
I'm a glasses wearer, folks. Sorry, I'm not really a bully.
I'm a contact lens wearer with glasses on top.
Bloody hell.
That's how mad my eyes are.
Crikey.
Yeah. Should we do your plot summary?
Oh, okay.
Come on, let's, the two of you do your plot summary. Go
Right.
on. You know that episode of Father Ted where they got the fake hands? Sorry, that's what I'm thinking of now. Sorry, go on. Sorry, Tom's plot summary. For Your Eyes Only, go. Tom and Scratches, go.
Right. We open on Bond at his wife, Tracy, who's not been mentioned for 6 movies, his grave. But his morning is interrupted by a vicar who says there was a call for him that sounded like an emergency, and his helicopter comes to pick him up. Only it isn't anyone from his work. It's Blofeld. Well, apparently.
Well,
not-
yeah. Blofeld, maybe.
Looks a bit like
Yeah.
Blofeld. Who kills the pilot with an electric brain knackerer and remotely controls the helicopter. So Bond has to get out of the helicopter and sit in the front. Once he finds the remote... went over that quick, didn't I?
Yeah.
Once he finds the remote control cable, he disconnects it and goes after Blofeld, picks him up on the copter's leg bit.
I don't know what you call that. The thing it lands on. The feet thing.
Yeah. And chucks him down a massive chimney. The opening credits roll, and the rest of the movie has nothing to do with that.
No,
So-
literally nothing.
yeah, right. Then there's this British information gathering vessel that's got this thing on it called the ATAC, which the MOD uses to coordinate all the submarines, but it gets blown up by a mine. And then we meet Melina, who's being flown by a bloke called Gonzalez to meet her folks on a yacht. But once he drops her off, he turns back and guns the shit out of her parents. Bond is ordered to get to the ATAC before the Soviets, because they're also wise to it, and it's good for having for the military and that, innit? So he goes off to Spain to find who hired Gonzalez.
Yes.
To find who hired Gonzalez.
Yes.
He is very briefly captured, but Melina kills Gonzalez in a comedy way, and her and Bond escape after much chasing in the 2CV.
Very good.
Okay, and then it's Q Branch time. Using some state-of-the-art technology, Bond and Q managed to get an exact photo of one of the blokes that he saw earlier paying off Gonzalez. Forgot to mention that. But he is identified as this bastard called Locke. So Bond goes to Italy to track him down. he meets this bloke called Luigi, who gives him the rundown about this bloke Christatos, who gives him the rundown about this bloke called Columbo, aka the Dove. But Christatos introduces Bond to a mentally challenged ice skater called BB. Sorry. BB takes an immediate shine to Bond and gets naked in his bed, but Bond is having none of it. But he has to take her to this biathlon where there's this bloke called Eric. Again, as far as BB's concerned, he's having none of it. Him and a couple of other baddies chase and try to kill Bond on skis. There's motorbikes as well. I think, is it? No,
There's motorbikes, yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Bond gets a lift with Luigi to an ice rink to say goodbye to BB, but then gets attacked by these hockey baddie bastards who he sees off easily. But then he gets back into the car, and Luigi's been killed, and this dove pin's been left. Dove.
The Dove. It was the Dove.
Yeah. And then Bond goes to Corfu and finds Christatos and Columbo. Columbo has an argument with his mistress, Countess Liesel.
Yeah? Liesel.
So Bond offers her a lift home and does what he does, Next morning, enjoying a romantic stroll on the beach, Countess is mowed down and killed by a beach buggy.
Beach buggy driven by a bastard.
Yeah.
Beach buggy bastard.
And then Bond is captured by Columbo's men, but it turns out he's all right, and Christatos is the real baddie. They raid this opium factory and find mines like the one that blew up the boat at the beginning. So Bond chases Locke and knocks him off a cliff with his car. That's good. And then Bond meets back with Melina. They go deep sea diving to recover the ATAC, but that bastard Christatos catches them and tries to kill them in a very elaborate and arguably overlong way. But Bond and Melina get away, and her parents' parrot says, ATAC's the same cereals, so they go there. Bond has to scale this mountain while these baddies trying to detach all the rope hooks in an arguably overlong way.
Yes.
Bond gets up there and chucks him off. That was Red 4 from Star Wars, by the way. I don't know.
Was it?
He's one of the rebel pilots in the X-Wings.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Google.
Okay. Yeah.
Carry on.
Bond kills Eric, gets the ATAC, and then just as Christatos is about to kill Bond, Columbo kills him, Christatos. Gogol shows up and Bond lobs the ATAC so it smashes into some rocks. Oh yeah. And then Gogol sort of finds that quite funny because now none of us have got it. And then Bond embarrasses his workmates again in front of Thatcher with the help of the parrot.
The parrot,
Yeah.
owned by Dame Diana Rigg in real life.
Okay.
Absolutely true. And you're going to see him again in a later Bond film.
As
Playing a different parrot. Still a parrot.
the same actor.
The same parrot playing a different parrot. Very versatile. I mean, clearly Diana Rigg's skills.
Does he have headshots?
Exactly, yeah, his spotlight, yeah. Right, I'm going to give you some basic information on this movie, and you can just sort of learn from this. I think it's some fascinating stuff to come up. This is the 12th James Bond movie by Eon, and it's Roger Moore's 5th appearance as Bond. Moore had originally signed a 3-film contract, which covered the first 3 appearances, so up to the end of The Spy Who Loved Me. But after that, he negotiated contracts on a film-by-film basis. Before this one, there was a lot of uncertainty about whether he was going to come back in to play Bond again in For Your Eyes Only. Many other actors were being considered to take over.
Yes.
Here are some of the names who were considered. Lewis Collins from The Professionals. Top program, The Professionals. Brilliant program. I met Gordon Jackson once, by the way, from The Professionals. He was absolutely lovely. Ian Ogilvy, who was known for his role as Simon Templar in Return of the Saint.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was originally had been played by Roger Moore, so there would have been some symmetry there. Michael Billington again. I mean, by this point, I'm sort of thinking like they were just ringing him up to have a laugh with him. You know, do you fancy it? Oh, not really. He had previously appeared, of course, in The Spy Who Loved Me as Agent Triple X's lover. He actually auditioned for the role of Bond 5 times, and he got closer this time than ever. He was actually on standby if they couldn't agree a deal with Roger Moore.
Yeah.
And there was always actually talk they were going to fly him to Corfu and everything, but they managed to do the deal with Moore, so he never got the role. The other one they considered was Michael Jaston, who had been in a spy in various things. And he went on to play Bond in a radio production of You Only Live Twice. He was also Raquel's dad in Only Fools and Horses. So there you are. There was the career highlight, never mind Bond. The other one they considered was Timothy Dalton.
Right.
So his name had been linked really since the late 60s as a possible with this role. We talked about him before, haven't we? Him being the young, good-looking chap he was at the time. But he felt that they weren't serious about casting a new Bond, and that it was just sort of a tactic to get Roger Moore to sign.
Yeah.
So he sort of stood down on this occasion. Anyway, all of this became moot and irrelevant because Roger Moore did re-sign. They came to a deal, and they did manage to re-sign for his 5th appearance as James Bond, which means we can do Threads Watch.
Threads Watch.
Lovely. Now, this is, of course, the first Bond film of the 1980s, and it's reflected in the wardrobe. We have fewer massive lapels, fewer massive ties, fewer massive flares.
The times they are changing.
They are, indeed. It's a new
Into
decade.
the 80s.
Exactly, it's the 80s.
Yeah.
So we do have a few things I think that are worthy of comment. We really do have to talk about the padded gilet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a look.
It's nice. Very
With
nice.
the jumper,
sort of jumper under
but he's
it.
still wearing a shirt, a proper shirt,
yeah.
formal shirt with a collar
Well, he's got to
underneath.
keep warm.
He's got to
Not messing
He's got to
about.
look the part as he's climbing up the mountain. We've also got a beige coloured suit with a blue shirt.
Yes.
That's not quite working for me. The
No.
beige is sort of closer to brown, and it's not. It makes him look old. I mean, no, he is old, but it makes him look older.
Yeah.
I think.
Ooh, this for that one then.
Yeah, I don't that one. We do, of course, also have, I'm delighted to say, a 80s green suede casual jacket.
Yes.
When he's at the villa,
Yeah.
which is a nice kind of suede effect.
Yeah.
Like a velour, like an upholstery on a car. Lovely.
That's the one. I think I called that his olive green action jacket.
Oh, nice.
With
Lovely.
light brown slacks and a big... He did have a big white collar as far as my notes go with that one.
With light brown slacks. It's a partridge in Paris. That is a great look. We've also got a brown outfit when he's in Cortina.
Yeah.
We have a brown combination.
Brown. I got it with a big furry collar.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there is a bit of a throwback on that look. The collar's quite big, isn't it? It's sort of out here with big furry, and also brown top, brown trousers, brown jacket with a different shade of brown on the collar.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can we get some more brown into this ensemble?
Yeah.
I also feel we should point out the blazer with brass buttons and cream slacks in
Lovely.
Corfu.
Yes.
Which no well-dressed man should be without in Corfu. And I also need to point out the lemon-coloured short-sleeve shirt. Particularly
Is
with
it
the
comfort fit?
and
With beige slacks.
they're sort of like a light grey, like Jim Bone would have worn on Bullseye. They look like they come from the Littlewoods catalogue. That's not a good look for me.
No.
I'm not liking that.
Okay.
Is there anything I've missed?
I noticed that his big blue ski coat with his white polo neck.
Of course.
He's got the zips have got bees on the zips.
Nice touch.
That's good, isn't it?
As distinct
The
from
letter
doves.
B, not like a B.
Yeah, no, B. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
And I think you said everything else that I've enjoyed in this one.
Yeah, it's although it's a new decade, it's still quite a collection, isn't it?
Yes.
It's still impressive.
Very, very nice.
Collection
we could
of-
talk about some of BB's choices as well, but maybe...
Please, no, let's do.
Well,
do.
just the
What,
one,
the cowboy hat?
The one stand out.
Yeah, I mean the cowboy hat.
She's a rhinestone dumbass. Eric, why won't you be my friend? Don't.
Because we're in Italy and you're wearing a cowboy
'cause
hat,
you look
maybe.
like you're representing fucking Nashville.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're trying to ski.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Right.
Because Americans abroad are normally so subtle and understated, aren't they? Anyway, that was
Oh, yeah.
Threads Watch.
Threads Watch.
Lovely. Always love a bit of Threads Watch. Only 2 more of those to go. We're going to think of something else then.
Are we? We're not going to carry it on.
Well-
it's not as fun, is it, for the rest of them?
Does Dalton do a threat? I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Right. To be continued,
determined.
or possibly not.
Yeah.
Anyway, the cast for your eyes only. So Carol Bouquet was cast as Melina Havelock. The part was originally offered, you're going to love this, to Ornella Muti from Flash Gordon.
Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah, but she passed. Carol Bouquet runs a winery these days. It's not a bad way to make a living.
Sorry, you can't just drop that on me and expect me to keep listening to you. So Ornella Muti was going to be...
Ornella Muti was going... Sorry, if you've never seen this before, Tom has a slight thing about Flash Gordon. The 1980s.
So it was only the year after, so she was just riding
Right,
high
yeah.
off the success.
Riding high off the global success that was
Top
Flash Gordon.
I best get back to work.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, the connection to Flash Gordon continues
Yeah.
with Topol,
Yeah.
the Israeli actor, most famous, of course, for Dr. Hans Zarkov in the Flash Gordon movie, and also for Fiddler on the Roof, which he played, by the way.
No one's heard of that.
Yeah, whatever.
Everyone knows him from Flash.
Do you know he played the lead role in Fiddler on the Roof 3,500 times
Bloody
on
hell.
screen and on stage? Isn't that amazing? I saw him do it
Played
back in the
Zarkov
90s.
once.
Exactly.
Perfected
Yeah.
it.
No, exactly.
You saw it, did you?
I did. I was lucky enough to see it live.
What,
Yeah,
with
back
Topol?
in the 90s with Topol doing Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah, it was fantastic. He was suggested for the part by Cubby Broccoli's wife, which was an excellent idea, excellent piece of casting. BB, Lynn Holly Johnson was BB. She genuinely was an ice skater, by the way. That wasn't a body double or something. And she could ski as well. So all that stuff was genuinely her. Julian Glover as Christatos, once mentioned as a possible Bond.
You spoke about him before,
Yes.
a few episodes ago, and you said he lives around here.
He does live around here, but he is still with us at the age of 89. He's had an amazing career. He's been in Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, in Game of Thrones, in The Crown. You name it, he's been in it. So fantastic in this. I think he's really, really good. Cassandra Harris as Liesel, the Countess von Schlaf, Columbo's mistress. At the time, she was married to Pierce Brosnan. And it was Pierce Brosnan coming onto the set one day and meeting Cubby Broccoli that planted the seed in Cubby Broccoli's head. Hey, this guy would make a good Bond one day. So there we are. Walter Gotell's third straight film as General Gogol, leaning into the idea a little bit more of détente with the West, which we've seen before. Unfortunately, we have no Bernard Lee in this movie. No. He died in January of 1981. The producers didn't want to recast M so soon after Bernard Lee's death, so they put Bill Tanner in charge, the Chief of Staff in temporary charge, played by James Villiers, and said that M was on leave.
Yeah.
And being assisted by Sir Frederick Grey, the return of Geoffrey Keane in that role. It's his third appearance. Lois Maxwell returns as Moneypenny, and of course Desmond Llewellyn returns as Q, and this time he gets to go to Greece. So Q gets to do a little bit of globe trotting,
and he puts on a stupid costume.
He does. Well,
fancy doing
anything like that. Crazy idea. Victor Chorjansky is back as the drinking tourist. Although blink and you'll miss it. Really
yes,
quick
it is
this
a bit.
time.
I'll have to do a slow-mo cut.
Yeah, like it is literally very, very quick. And as you've already mentioned,
Wine bloke, I call him.
Wine bloke. Yes, this is his last one. I think he was going to be a regular thing. It would have been nice to see him in more movies, but there we are.
He's got 3. Any more than that?
Any more than that?
Would be stupid.
Charles Dance makes his first film appearance, as you correctly said. That is a young Charles Dance as one of Locke's goons.
And am I right? He doesn't actually have any dialogue.
He doesn't speak.
Is he about to say something?
No, he literally was told, it was his first movie, and he was told, turn up, look menacing, and you know, and that was his part. So
yeah, well, they might not have had a line written, but it looks like he's about to go, and then.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Harpooned?
As close as he could. He did. Yeah, harpoon. Yeah. That's as close as he gets to a line. But anyway, there we are. The beginning of a wonderful career.
Yeah, he was in Ali G in The House.
He's been in all sorts.
Space Truckers.
All sorts of.
Yeah.
And that Game of Thrones thing as well. But no one really remembers that. Yeah. This is the first of 5 consecutive Bond movies directed by John Glenn.
Yeah.
He directed every Bond movie of the 1980s, and he'd been on the team already for 12 years at this point. This, of course, was produced by Cubby Broccoli, and the script was by Richard Maybaum and Michael G. Wilson, legendary contributors to the Bond canon. A noticeable shift in tone in this movie. Very much more down to earth after the general OTT madness of Moonraker,
Yes.
where they've basically gone, let's go to Rio, let's have Concorde, let's have a space station, let's have a cable car, let's do it. This is much more down to earth, just one guy, quite gadget free, just a guy with his gun. Much closer to something like From Russia with Love, I think, was the tone they were going for. Back to the original Bond, more of a sort of Cold War thriller. Partly that was due to the historical context. The excesses of the 70s were giving way to a new decade, and of course we had a new Prime Minister in Great Britain. Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. I'm saying nothing. And there was a reference to that, a very big one at the end of the movie, of course, but also a reference to that beforehand when Sir Frederick Grey talks about if the Prime Minister finds out, she'll have our guts for garters, which was a very much a reference to this new time. Some information on the source novel, or in this case, short stories. Because, of course, For Your Eyes Only is not a novel. It's a collection of 5 short stories.
Yeah.
This is your book.
Yeah.
You don't seem to know that. You haven't read it. Okay, fine. So it's a collection of 5 short stories, which are called From a View to a Kill.
Oh, yeah.
For Your Eyes Only. Quantum of Solace.
Heard of that.
Risico and the Hildebrand Rarity. All of these stories, or the names of them, were used in some way in the series, or referred to in some way in the series. This particular film calls upon the short stories of Risico and For Your Eyes Only quite heavily. We'll come to that a bit later on. But this was a very well-received collection of short stories. Came out in 1960, in April 1960. It was the 8th Bond book to be written by Ian Fleming, and the reviews for it were absolutely fantastic. They loved the short story format. Right, production. Now, normally at this point, we sort of have a bit of a laugh and say how mad everything is. We're not going to do that this time. Unfortunately, one of the stuntmen was actually killed making this movie. It was a 23-year-old Italian called Paolo Rigoni. He was killed during the bobsleigh scene. It does. We've talked before about the respect that we have for these guys and what they do, because it's unbelievably dangerous, some of this stuff.
God.
So I that obviously cast a shadow over the whole movie, or the sort of making of the movie. Controversies. This is a relatively controversy-free movie in terms of the content. We don't really have Bond being a twat to women.
No.
I don't think.
No, if anything, I thought it was like a conscious thing of making him a bit more modern and
maybe. Refusing BB's advances.
With the implication being that she's too young, but maybe just because she's a bit much. But so instead he gets it on with Bellino, who must be about a year older.
As old as 19, maybe.
But at least they tried, with him actually.
Indeed.
He's got a young woman in his bed, and he goes, not now, and all that.
I'll buy you an ice cream.
Well,
And Lynn Holly Johnson was actually 23 at the time, which actually isn't as young as some of the other girls. But they were clearly trying to sort of move him into the 80s a little bit. The controversy really with this was more off-screen, because the legal proceedings with Kevin McClory over Thunderball and what became Never Say Never Again were still going on years and years later, which is why they couldn't say the name Blofeld, even though it clearly was Blofeld in the pre-title sequence. But we'll talk about that a bit later on. The reception for this movie, the stunts were highly praised, the plot a little bit less so. So it was slightly mixed. 69% on Rotten Tomatoes today, so a good score, not the top score, but certainly not the lowest. There are 1 or 2 references in contemporary reviews to Roger being maybe just getting to the end of his viable time as Bond. He was 54 when it was released. So maybe he was thinking,
let's do 2 more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's this creates its own problems, which we will talk about in the next 2 episodes. As for the box office, however, the budget for this movie was $28 million, which I have to say surprised me, because that's less than Moonraker's, but it's still substantial. It's the second highest to this point by some distance. In Moonraker, you could see where the budget had gone. It's not quite so obvious in this. There's not so much in the way of special effects.
No, I suppose the set piece things.
Underwater photography.
Yeah.
But anyway, anyway, it was still a massive hit. The budget was $28 million. The box office take $195 million, which very slightly down on Moonraker, but you would hardly call it a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge, huge take. So we will move to the ultimate arbiter of Bond, or what's left of it anyway, the BondBoard, which is still just about hanging in there. There are bits falling off.
Yeah.
But we will move to the BondBoard in just a moment as we score for your eyes only. Tom, will you please activate what remains of the BondBoard?
Spellcasting! B-O-N-D
B.
B-O-A-R-D. Activate!
Wow. See, some lights still do work. There is some lighting on it still.
Yeah.
Although the voice activation thing seems to have...
I'll tell you what it is,
that's gone.
folks.
It's
I've
knackered.
I've knackered it.
Yeah, it's
haven't I?
knackered, that's
Trying
what
to put bits back on, they keep falling off.
Yeah.
And I keep standing on the lights or something. I don't know.
think the
We've lost the voice activation. It's
yeah.
flipping shit show, isn't it?
Listen, I mean, the fact is, it's not considerably worse than it was when it started. So, you know, we can't really complain, can we? Right.
Fair point.
The BondBoard is the ultimate arbiter of all things Bond. It's where we will score for your eyes only in comparison to the previous movies to see where it ends up on our league table of Bond.
Yeah.
Would you like a quick recap on the top three, should we say, on the
Let's
league
have
table?
a three, and I think we should, and then we can have some dishes, can't we?
Oh, we can have some douches, yeah. Okay, so in third place at the moment is...
Thunderball with 186.
Nice.
In second place is Goldfinger. Do it again. Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Yeah.
There, that one's second one.
With
Yeah.
191, and number one is The Spy Who Loved Me. 198 points.
198.
100
out of a possible 240. That's going to take some beating, isn't it? It's all the flares in The Spy Who Loved Me, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, let's score for your eyes only and see
Okay.
where it ends up in the top. This will be 12. Excellent. Right, let's start with the opening sequence, which, as you've already alluded to in your excellent plot summary, is completely out of sequence, completely out of place with the rest of the movie.
Yes.
In terms of content, tone, and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, 1 minute it's a sort of... There's a nice callback to On Her Majesty's Secret Service,
Yeah.
Bond at Tracy's grave,
Yeah.
and, you know, nice touch. And then suddenly we're in, like... This slapstick, it's like something out of the Muppets, or I don't know what it is. It's mad.
It is. It's very daft, very sort of overdue, or like don't bother.
Overdone.
Or yeah, but like, why do it now? I didn't understand, and then have the rest of the movie be not just
Nothing to do with Blowfog.
yeah. Let's just have this short at the beginning, sort of thing. The helicopter bit is incredible. I was thinking the guy
The stunt. Yeah, there is a guy literally
hanging out of a
yeah,
helicopter. Yeah.
So they weren't allowed to use the name Blofeld due to the ongoing legal dispute with Kevin McClory. But I mean, it is Blofeld, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I think we can safely say that.
I think so. The likeness.
Yeah.
Yes.
The likeness is remarkable, except for the neck thing, which. Also, what's the reference to a stainless steel delicatessen?
Yeah, I didn't understand that at
I
all.
think it's a mafia bribe, I think. Is that what it
okay.
is?
Right.
I don't know. Is that what it's referring to? It's not obvious, is
I
it?
don't
It's
know.
all a bit random.
Yeah,
is
it's
what
all
we're
very
saying. It's all a bit
strange.
odd. I must admit, even for the stunt, which should be great,
Yeah.
it always jars a bit with me, the opening sequence.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I've scored 5.
5.
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, I
1.
like it a bit more because I find it. Yeah, the problems with it are that it just like it could not be in the movie and it'd be
It'd be
you know,
fine.
the rest
Yeah,
of the movie
yeah.
makes sense. It's it's a daft little callback, but I was really impressed with the stunts.
Yeah.
The flying in the buildings and everything, and yeah, it's very enjoyable. So I've given it 7.
Okay.
Which
So
may be bitching.
my scores go on the BondBoard in red, and Tom's scores go on in blue. At the end, we compare the scores Me seeing it for the millionth time, Tom watching it for the first time. We see who enjoyed it more. Then we add those scores together to give us the overall total in the league table of Bond. So that's the opening sequence. Let's talk about the theme song.
Yeah.
Sheena Easton, of course, the singer. She was the first singer to appear in the title sequence.
I was gonna ask.
Never happened before.
Well, maybe I don't want to know, but I'm gonna say they don't do that again.
Did that not work for you?
Perhaps they should.
Did it look like an early 80s
It did.
video?
Yeah. Even to the point where they convinced her to get a kit off.
They didn't. It was a ball game. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Well, it didn't really disappoint me. I thought it was a bit much.
Well, I mean, to be honest, everyone else is naked, so, it would have been, she would have been in the minority. Nice. Very nice. Very impressed with that. That was music by Bill Conti, lyrics by Mick Leeson. Yeah. This was nominated for an Oscar. That song, which slightly surprised me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, but is it one of the great Bond themes? No. Like, is it Goldfinger-esque? I would say probably not. So it was nominated for an Oscar, although it lost to Arthur's theme.
Oh, yeah.
That one. I lost that. And here's the part that's really going to stick in your craw. Blondie did a theme tune for this, and they rejected it.
Yeah.
Ended up on their album The Hunter the following year. So. No, I don't dislike Sheena Easton's song, but Blondie would have been better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I've gone 7 for the theme song.
I've gone a bit low. I've only gone 6. So okay. Yeah, like you.
It's fine. It's just not outstanding.
Yeah. Agreed.
Would that be a fair summary?
Yeah.
Okay, the next category is the music.
Yeah.
The score.
Oh, I got some stuff. Oh, God.
The score of For Your Eyes Only was written by Bill Conti, who had done Rocky and won the Oscar for Rocky a few years before.
Yeah.
He retained some of the John Barry influenced brass elements in the score,
yeah,
but also added some elements of more modern music.
Indeed.
It's not quite the full Bond 77 that we saw in The Spy Who Loved Me, but it is quite close. You're the musician. What did you make of this? With your one hand that you can actually play with. You're going to have to break the illusion. Sorry, yeah. Look, behind the
wizard's curtain. It was a puppet all along.
It's not a real cat. Can you believe it? It looks so lifelike. Can you actually play the piano through that jacket like that? All right.
Yeah, I did. This is the bit I liked. I did a little makeshift backing track.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'll see if I. Yeah. Oh God.
Well, that sounded good.
Let's do that again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then once you
That's the ski chase, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you got all that stuff going on, and then the brass kicks in. And then the brass kicks in.
Okay, and then the brass kicks in. Yeah.
Alright, and then the brass kicks in.
And then the brass kicks in. Ooh, nice.
Alright, fuck that.
Nice, that's great. I like the way you've dissected that.
You get the gist.
That's great. Yeah, no, I love it. So this is while Charles Dance is chasing Roger Moore on skis.
Yeah.
Nice. So as a musician, which you've proven beyond doubt, what do you make of the score?
I think this is fantastic. There's some really great dramatic stuff, which again is a lot different from what John Barry would have done. But the bit after Melina's folks have been gunned down and she's,
that's genuinely
that
quite
kind of, building kind of rage and
slow zoom on Melina.
Yeah, that's a good bit.
Yeah.
Great. I've given it 8.
I also have given it 8.
Whoa.
That's interesting, isn't it? So I like the score very much. It strikes me, and I could be talking out of my hat here or something else round and inappropriate, but it strikes me as one of the soundtracks you could perhaps sit and listen to more than some of the others. Exactly. Just do your work with that all day, couldn't you? Just. And your wife walks in and goes, why are you listening to 80s porn music?
What's the matter with it? Right.
Anyway, so that is the score. We are both scoring the score.
Oh, yeah.
8 points for the music. Right, stunts is next.
Yeah.
I guess the big stunt in this is probably the rope fall down the side of the cliff in Meteoria in Greece. That was performed by Rick Sylvester, the guy who did the ski jump in The Spy Who Loved Me. He was actually, believe it or not, as he was up there on the rope, ready to sort of let go, the thing he's looking down on, thousands of feet below, is a graveyard, believe it or not. There's a graveyard at the bottom. Oh, lovely. But yeah, good scene, I think. Good stunt, that. Although, of course, there is the bobsleigh scene with the motorbike as well. The motorbike chasing... down on the actual bob run, which again I think works pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't like the little comedy thing when Rog goes like, go a bit quicker to the bobsleigh.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have an engine in. They can't make it go any faster. But anyway, so yeah, there are some good stunts in this. What else have you got?
I've got a few. Give it. Well, yeah, I mentioned the hanging out of the helicopter.
Yeah, very good at the start.
Yeah,
Excellent. I think that was Martin Grace. I'll check. But I think that was Martin Grace who does a lot of stunts in this period.
Maybe not quite stunt stuff, but there's some really harrowing stuff right at the beginning when the ship's sinking, and there's that guy with the handcuffs, and there's a guy. Does he get electrocuted or something?
Yeah,
there's some really good screaming acting. This guy.
And
I'll just throw an example of it now.
The hand going, and it's like nearly. No, is he gonna die? Yeah, he's gonna die. Yeah, it's quite it's quite dark, isn't it?
There's Gonzalez's belly flop, which I'm classing as a stunt because that looked like bloody hurt.
Must have been painful.
Parasol jump. He goes down about 2 steps.
That should be in Spy Hard, the Leslie Nielsen film. Yeah.
The 2CV chase.
Yes.
And particularly the reverse driving.
Yes.
Obviously,
go backwards, forwards quickly.
Yes. But
I quite like, and also the 2CV when they roll it down through the olive thing and onto the bottom road. That genuinely did happen. They did literally roll a guy in a 2CV down the.
I like that. And it's fun. There's a bit in that scene where it's like the shot of the front of the car, so you can see the two in the the standard driving shots.
Yes.
And Bond says something like, it's lovely to have a nice driving
I love a drive in the country, don't you?
But Melina's like laughing.
I know.
And it's like, it's an outtake or something. It's almost like it's not even a line from the movie and it's just the actors messing about. I think, but it was fun. It's like, oh, she's laughing. She's meant to be scared.
So, what are you going to score for stunts?
Hang on, there's some more stuff.
Oh, sorry,
there, mate. So...
the arm's gone.
Right. There's a motorbike for a window, for a florist window.
Yes.
And Eric throws a motorbike at James Bond.
Why does he do that?
Is that stunt?
Why does he do that?
Not going to do anything,
that's
is it?
not going to be effective in any shape or form. It's not like, oh no, he's throwing the motorbike very slowly in my direction. Oh, let me see if I can get out of the way. Oh yeah, I can.
The Countess gets run over.
Yes.
Look, getting off the cliff, the car off the cliff.
Now, that is actually quite a big moment, really, in the whole series, because it was the first time we've talked about the ruthless side of Bond before.
Yeah.
When Connery shoots Professor Dent in the back when he's already shot him in Dr. No and those sorts of things. Moore had never really gone in for much of that.
No.
Although I would argue knocking Sandor's tie off in the roof was pretty nasty.
Pretty cool,
but apparently with this one, he was quite uncertain about kicking the car over the edge and needed quite a bit of persuasion that no, this will work. And didn't feel it was in with his Bond, Okay, so what are you saying for stunts?
I've got an 8 out of 10. Which is
I have gone 7. 8 seems quite high.
Yeah, I liked.
the-
I thought it was, and the way that like it. I suppose it's more to do with the pacing of the film, but it was kind of felt like there were some really good set pieces, and sort of in the first half, kind of quite a lot of like hardly any dialogue and just big long chases.
Yeah.
Very well shot. Very
Yeah.
Looking,
John Glenn was a master at this kind of thing. Because don't forget, he'd been shooting all the second unit stuff from On Her Majesty's Secret Service onwards. So the ski chase 12 years previously in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is probably the highlight of that movie. That was it. So, top man. Vehicles.
Yeah.
Vehicles. We do have a Lotus,
Yeah.
briefly,
Yeah.
and then he blows it up.
Yeah. It's got quite an extreme
Yeah.
security
What
system.
can I do to get out of this? Oh, I know. By the way, you know Bob Simmons, the guy who jumped in the shark tank and all that? He's the guy who stood next to the car as it blew up.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so he was back to his old tricks. We have the Lotus. I mean, we got to mention the 2CV.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a nice touch, I think, to see Bond in a vehicle that's so un-Bond-like.
I think it.
With no gadgets, no nothing. you know.
And making a gag out of even the score kind of goes a bit.
So I quite like that. The Neptune underwater submarine, which I think looks quite cool.
It looks cool and
Quite sort of enclosed. You get a feeling of it being quite enclosed the way they shot it, which I think works reasonably well.
Versus the Mantis, the one man,
single man
sabotaging
claw bloke guy.
crab sub.
Crab sub.
Not so
I
great.
think that's what they actually call it.
Yeah.
What else have we got for vehicles? What am I missing?
Well, there's the motorbikes, the spiky motorbikes.
Yes.
They're pretty cool, baddie vehicles. Oh, and he's got a red Lotus as well. But,
It's got a red Lotus.
Not that memorable.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So is that it for vehicles? I suppose
I
it's just
think-
the boats other than that, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I've only gone 6 for vehicles. I think they underused the Lotus.
Maybe.
The Lotuses, the Loti, the Lexi. The underwater submarine. What did you score?
I said 7. Sorry,
7,
I went
okay,
and
7.
wrote it. Yeah.
No. Okay, good. Henchman is next.
No, it isn't. Surely it's not. I haven't done this wrong. Villains is next. I haven't done it wrong.
Villains is next, and so Julian Glover as Christatos. Now, genuinely, you watching this for the first time, did you guess?
Oh, what? No,
Did you guess the twist?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So it worked then.
I just take it all at face value, don't I? Like an idiot.
He looks like a nice, trusting fella. I can do business with this guy. I think he's good, Christatos.
Yeah.
And I do like the sort of change in tone.
I thought, I thought Columbo was bound to be the baddie. I was like, he doesn't even know how to eat pistachios. It's meant to be his thing. Did Topo never see a pistachio before? Was it?
Well,
did no one have to
apparently,
eat them in there?
apparently he added that in himself. He thought the pistachios were his own
I've been
thing.
eating these. Aren't you meant to take this?
Take them off and then eat
Shell
the
off.
pistachios.
No.
Not
This
just...
is...
And yet, but surprisingly, he's amazingly attractive to women, where he's just spitting pistachio nuts out everywhere he goes.
Anyway, as I was saying... okay.
Not nice. Anyway,
No.
so Julian
Yeah.
Glover, I think, is very good. And I know he's not the sort of big flamboyant baddie like a Blofeld or whatever with a, dodgy eye or a arm missing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really genuinely quite, the way he says you will soon be joining them, you sort of think, ooh, he's quite serious, this guy.
Yeah.
I like him, I have to say. I think as a main villain, he's very good.
Yeah, he's very
He's a terrific
good.
actor, of course.
Yes, acted extremely well. Yeah,
And an honorary Bristolian.
Yeah.
So we're going to vote for him, aren't
Yeah.
we? We're going to.
but it is another one of those. No, I will just assume they have died.
Exactly.
And why didn't you just shoot them? And you're like,
This is more fun.
to the most over elaborate one so far, I think.
Well, the keel hauling sequence actually comes from the novel of Live and Let Die. That is the climactic ending to the.
See?
Shall I be mother?
Sorry,
That is the climactic ending to the novel of Live and Let Die. That they're keelhauled. So that came from that novel. Yeah, the bit about going to the warehouse in Albania and all that stuff comes from the short story Risico, which is in For Your Eyes Only, and the crossbow stuff and Melina with the crossbow and Gonzalez and all that comes from the short story of For Your Eyes Only. So they did dip into the movies, the novels rather, quite a bit for this movie. The other thing is, and I know you love this scene, so we will talk about it later, the identigraph that comes out of the Goldfinger novel. So they did borrow quite heavily from Fleming for this. And you can see it in the villain. That's the point I'm getting to. I think he's a sort of classic book villain. You see what I mean? He's a sort of, like I say, he's not an over-the-top, elaborate, world domination will be mine type
Keeping
villain.
in line with a lot of the
He just wants to be incredibly rich and generally do bad things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of a sort of Bond thing, there's a lot that's sort of toned down this time,
it
isn't
fits
there?
with the movie,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
And of course, he's a terrific actor, Julian Glover. So I think it works very well. I've said 7 for the villain, although I wonder, is that a little bit light on reflection? What have you said?
I've only gone 7.
Oh, all right, I'll stick to my 7 then. Go on. I think it's,
Yeah.
2 sevens, a pair of 7s. Right.
Yes.
Now it's henchmen. Sorry, I got my order wrong earlier.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that.
I've got a cold enough, I mentioned.
No.
So, henchmen. Well, we have Locke,
Yes.
who doesn't speak, although that was definitely for Jules.
Yeah.
So,
Very easy to identify.
very easy to identify
Yeah.
with his octagonal steel-rimmed glasses. Good death scene, as you mentioned. The kicking off the cliff. Really, really good. We've got other henchmen. Eric Kriegler.
Yeah.
Kind of an attempt at Jaws, almost. Doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Big, powerful, odd job type figure.
Handy, but a bit boring.
Yeah, physically imposing, but that doesn't say an awful lot. Same thing with Charles Dance, who was a big guy in his youth, big, strong-looking guy. So, again, down-to-earth henchmen rather than metal teeth and all that kind of stuff, Just big, strong, horrible-looking blokes who look like they want to mangle you.
Yeah. Suppose we should talk about some of the other supporting cast at this point. Not really in the score of this, we aren't really.
But we normally do talk about the supporting cast.
There are some very posh blokes in this movie. I'll play a few examples for you now.
What the devil's going on here? We have an unidentified object closing fast.
You were meant to question Gonzales, not let Miss Havelock perforate him.
How deep is the water there?
Not deep enough, I'm afraid.
I think we're having a little trouble with the line, madam.
I also, I just noticed that Bunky in the casino.
Oh yeah,
he's
it's the Rancor keeper in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. He popped up in a few things over the years, actually, that guy. Yeah.
But yep, that's all I got. And I am just going 6.
I am also saying 6. Ooh. I don't think they're that memorable. Although I do like Locke's face as he realises what's happening. Yeah. And he's going over the edge.
Yes.
Because he genuinely does look absolutely terrified, doesn't he? As he goes over the edge.
Yeah.
Right, location. Primarily Greece and Italy.
Yeah.
Which Corfu was used extensively. As we saw, there were several parts of Corfu. There were other parts of Greece used. If I've spelt this or said this wrong, I'm really sorry. Meteora.
Yeah.
Which is also Linkin Park's second album. That's where they went for the St. Cyril's, the monastery. They had trouble with the monks there who objected to the filming. Used to sort of do things to try and distract, interrupt the filming and that kind of thing. So a lot of it is establishing shots of the background with the actors in front of and that kind of thing. Corfu, by the way, used extensively in the movie, as I said, also doubled as Spain for the 2CV car chase.
Okay.
So they never went to Spain to film any of that stuff. There are little signs. Occasionally you can see that sort of doesn't look very Spanish. So it's actually Corfu. Italy used extensively as well, of course, particularly around Cortina.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough snow, so they had to bust some extra snow in, truck some extra snow in to make it look like it was the ski resort it normally is. The other thing they did was they went to the Bahamas again for some underwater shots. It seems to be, if in doubt, go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Certainly for anything underwater.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's like, you know, the Bahamas again. That's the third time this year, darling. Yeah, no, I've got to, love, it's work. Sorry, you know. What can you do? I keep getting sent to the Bahamas, you know. So those are the locations. Oh, by the way, the underwater shots of Bond and Melina aren't underwater. They faked it with a fan blowing into Carol Bouquet's face because she couldn't swim or dive.
Well.
There you go. Any other locations? I don't think there's any other locations. Missed anything?
Again,
London,
we normally have a little chat about the sets, which were sort of noticeably unnoticeable.
Ken Adam like.
Yeah, but not saying that was a bad thing. It was, when you told me it was Ken Adams' last episode, I was like, oh, God.
You were bereft, weren't you? Very
That's one
upset.
of the things I really loved.
Yeah.
And like I said, it kind of felt it was missing, or I felt maybe I was still in mourning the first time I watched it.
He's expensive.
Yeah.
That's the trouble
and
with
then
Ken.
I just got more into the, just more straightforward approach to this one. There's
I think actually
a little bit of wonky
St.
camera work
Cyril's-
when they're on the boat.
Oh yeah. I think the St. Cyril's stuff actually works quite well. I think the interior of St. Cyril's looks quite believing. It wouldn't look right to be this huge Ken Adam style lair. So actually, again, I think that works reasonably well. I have said 7 for locations, but then I like Greece and Italy. So
I've said the same. We've matched quite a lot
we
tonight.
have matched a lot this week.
Yeah.
Haven't we? It's sort of. I think this is shaping up to be a sort of solid mid-table score rather than a one end or the other type score. But let's carry on. We shall see. Story. Now we've obviously had your amazing plot summary, so we can't improve on that clearly. But I will just add a couple of minor points. The script, as I mentioned, based on 2 in Fleming short stories, For Your Eyes Only and Risico. For Christatos and Columbo, we're mentioned in Risico. Bond's abduction of Columbo's yacht, the night raid on the warehouse, that's all in Risico. In For Your Eyes Only, Melina, the crossbow scene in the swimming pool and so on, although it's not in Spain in the novel, but that's where they took it from. And as I said, they were trying to go back to Fleming in style and tone, hence the keel hauling sequence from Live and Let Die, and the identigraph scene from Goldfinger. You love the identigraph scene.
I was going to wait.
Go on, go on, let's do it now. Go on, because I know there's a lot you want to say about this. Go on.
It was once I knew it was coming, every time I watched the movie, I'd start like smiling.
Yes, it's the identigraph scene. Yes.
When it's coming up now, there's just so much to enjoy about it. Just in that it's not their fault that it turns out it's totally rubbish.
Yeah.
Like it's only because it's the 80s, and we've learned quite a bit more.
The technology, there's more technology in your phone, isn't there?
Well, he has a human face, and then a face. Yes, a little bit different than that. Yeah, that's it. That's the guy.
He has 2 eyes.
Yeah, he has 2 eyes. They're blue. Everything the cute does. There's the bits when he does the thing of nose, not a banana. And it cuts to these shots of Desmond Llewellyn, but he isn't smiling. He's just going. I think they just use some random shots. I mean,
also, you wouldn't let Q loose on the identigraph, would you? You know, because he's literally typing like that.
Yeah. And then the bit that kills you now is that Sharon comes in.
Yeah. With a cup of tea, because they've been in there for hours.
Well, but is that going to be the implication? Because there's no time.
Because he's taking his jacket off, and it's like hours later. It's dark outside.
See, there's no like a transition or it looks like they've just got there.
I know.
And they keep going about locking up.
No,
Don't worry, Sharon, I'll lock up. And
No, it's supposed to be a transition. Yeah. Although, if you look, they've basically finished it before the transition. And then it's like hours later and it looks exactly the same.
Right, I didn't see any progress. It's basically
exactly.
Bond says a few things.
And then he just goes, glasses, octagonal.
That's him.
That's Yeah, right. I've got it, Bond, yeah. I don't know. I like the way also he puts in what's clearly like I guess it's some sort of cartridge It's the size of a tractor wheel. It's enormous, this thing.
That's right. I'm thinking of that. There's those things, and they keep going around locking up. It's like,
Who's going to steal this? We'll have to knock a wall down to get it out
first before you can get anywhere near it. And there's also bits of Desmond Llewellyn's just staring down the lens, like really absent-mindedly. At the end of the scene, he's just like looking down. I'll show you it. It's fantastic. I
thought you might like that scene. I must be honest. I thought that would appeal to you
more than any bit of Bond ever.
More than you were supposed to.
And it was Sharon that did it for me, but I thought it was all happening for 2 minutes.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. You can go. I'll lock up.
I despite the identigraph scene, I have gone 8 for the story.
Yeah,
You've lost. You're all of a tizzy now. You're all flustered.
I did check. And same again. 8.
2 8s.
Yeah.
Again, we're matching. This is unusual. You're right. You recovered from your little,
I just think of just like images from it pop in my head, and it sets me off.
There were cups of tea, and it's just something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an amazing scene for a variety of reasons. There are only 3 categories left.
Yeah.
Which means it's time for
Gadgets, gag, and girls.
Nice extra one at the end there. Is that new?
I just put a
cowbell?
massive cowbell on there.
Yeah. I could have used some more cowbell.
That's at the beginning of the movie. They put a massive cowbell in the mix.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. Nice musical nod there. Gadgets, gags, and girls. E-Bayek, etc. This is a relatively gadget-free movie.
Yeah.
The ATAC, of course, is a gadget.
Yeah.
But that's a MacGuffin. It was never a thing. It never existed.
Yeah.
We've talked about the identigraph, this marvellous thing which all you need is a tractor wheel and a cue and you can run it. It's dead easy. And also the radio watch at the end with which he talks to Mrs. Thatcher.
Yeah.
And that's about it, I think, isn't it?
I got a few others.
Okay, go on.
I briefly mentioned the electric brain knackerer at the very beginning.
Oh, yes, I forgot the electric brain knackerer. Yes.
Sort of, I think it's the same company that does the Sonic Pulse brain knackerer.
Sonic Pulse brain knackerer from Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Brain knackerers are us, I think.
Yeah. There's Moneypenny's got a massive secret mirror and makeup set. She pulls this thing out. So no one's going to ever find that.
No.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. In the Q branch bit, before we get to the best bit, we've got some strange things. There's Smithers How's the Arm.
Yes.
I'm not wearing it now because I was going to say fancy making it, doing... having a stupid false arm.
I know, fancy having a stupid false arm.
For entertainment
Edit it back in.
purposes.
You know who Smithers is, don't you? We've talked about that before.
No.
The actor who played Smithers? He's popped up before.
Yeah, he's Boba Fett, isn't he?
Boba Fett,
yeah.
And he's in the next movie as well, in Octopussy too. He pops up in Octopussy as well.
Is he always Smithers? Or is
Yes.
it...
That's
Oh,
him,
okay.
Doctor. Yeah.
Ah, right.
One of Q branch,
Yeah.
one of Q's people. Yes.
Yes, and then it goes to the umbrella, which goes...
Yeah, the umbrella
Junk.
spiky.
Stinging in the rain.
Stinging in the rain.
Could I ask how you practically implement that gadget on a baddie without them realising that there's these massive...
Don't know. The umbrella would be
blades?
heavy.
Yeah. And also, you'd have to...
What if he lent the umbrella to someone? Oh my God, you could kill her.
Or what if rain was forecast and then it didn't rain? There's so many problems, but...
The weather ruins your assassination
The
attempt.
biggest problem about it is, it just... It's got all these massive blades on the...
Oh, it's a new model of umbrella, so it's the...
Yeah. I don't think they thought that one through.
No, that's probably never going to see the light of day, is it, that one?
I have put this as a gadget. It's sort of an organic gadget.
Right.
Movement detecting pistachio shells. You chuck them down.
Well, I guess if you're going to eat pistachios, you may as well put the shells to good use.
Yeah.
Rather than just
Rather
chuck
than
them
putting them in your bloody
Rather than
mouth.
exactly. Hold on a minute. Let me just surreptitiously creep through this warehouse.
Yeah. And also not quite a gadget, but I forgot to talk about it in the music. There's a Nobody Does It Better door buzzer.
There is.
I don't suppose you find it funny in the field.
Indeed, I don't.
But a gadget-free movie comparatively.
Yes,
Certainly compared
yeah.
to Moonraker and others. I've gone 5.
Oh.
Quite light, really.
I mean, I have got 7.
That's because of the identigraph.
Yeah, it raised
6.5 of those are the identigraph.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
What did you say, 5?
yeah, I'm only gone 5. Do you know what? You're scoring this movie more highly than I am. Again?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it.
Right, gags. I've got a few.
I got a few.
I
but
trust you
again-
had a pleasant fright.
Yes.
He had no head fights
Yeah.
after he's kicked Locke over the edge.
Yeah.
I love A Drive in the Country that we talked about.
Yeah.
Roger's scene with BB really is one long comic, just one
Which
long
one?
gag.
With the,
When
all
she's
of it.
in his bed,
Yeah.
that really is just one long, I'll buy you an ice cream.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
clearly
I think
Rod
that
sort
was a
of...
gag. There's a bit. It wasn't a gag, but really made me laugh. The look that Rog gives when Kristatos is when she's whispering in Kristatos, and well, would you like? And he just gives this look. He sort of winces, like no, no. But I can't really see how to get a shot of her. So yeah, yes, that made me laugh. Wine guy.
Wine guy again, yeah.
It's not quite a gag, but take the low road. Not that low.
Not that low.
Oh,
The other thing we should... Sorry, go on.
well,
What have you got?
no. You
I was going to say the ending with Mrs. Thatcher.
okay.
So to me, this has been building through several movies. Because if you go right the way back to The Man with the Golden Gun,
Yeah.
and the ending of that, where
Yes.
they're discovered... Well, M listens in to Bond and Goodnight. doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Then you've got the ending of Spy Who Loved Me, keeping the
Yeah.
British end up.
Yeah.
Moonraker with the re-entry scene when they're in space. This is almost the sort of, dare I say, the climax of that, because now we're actually seeing the person on the end of the phone.
Yeah.
And again, it's completely out of keeping with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
To have Maggie and Dennis tottering in, who's been on the sherry.
Oh yeah, fiddling with some sprouts.
She's like, which, you know, I mean, you sort of watch it and think that's just, you know, completely ridiculous. But again, it's a nod to its time. Thatcher was such a sort of big figure in British life at the time, you know. So I don't know how I feel. Sort of mixed feelings about that scene, really. I mean, it is grindingly out of kilter with the rest of the film.
It is.
It's really jarring.
They tone down on the gags for the rest.
And then
of
all
the
of a sudden
movie,
there's
and then
this at
it's
the
like
end, which is like
the
from a...
biggest
Yeah.
spoof. Well, not slapstick.
Well, no,
but
it is. It's almost like
broadest thing they've ever done, isn't it?
It's almost like something from a comedy sketch show on the telly, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that actress did used to play just Thatcher on...
That's Janet Brown. She used to pop up and do Thatcher all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, there was
Sorry,
a bit that I enjoyed. After Bond tells Melina when they're about to go underwater, and he says, "Conserve your gas supply. Speak only when necessary."
Yeah.
Right, and then that he has to fucking say about that shark. Oh, I hope he was dining alone. She's really like,
You said don't speak.
was that necessary?
Shh, we're supposed to be conserving.
Sorry, it was so good. I couldn't not say it.
Okay, I've said 7 for gas.
Hang on. We've missed one.
Oh, sorry.
We've missed one of my favourite bits. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
That is a great scene.
That's putting it mildly 007.
Yeah, that is a great scene. And do you know what?
Just a visual gag, really.
Desmond Llewellyn was really good at those sorts of lines, actually. At saying those sorts of...
Yeah.
You know, what's the word? Caustic lines. You know, that's putting it mildly, 007.
Yeah.
He's really good at those sorts of lines, isn't he, Desmond? Yeah, that's a really good scene. I do like that a lot. I've gone 7 for gags. I do like the way Rog plays his scene with BB. There was an interview given where Roger said he thought he was getting a bit long in the tooth, even then.
Yeah.
To be sort of, you know, messing about with someone of Lynn Holly Johnson's age. And I think, yeah, it's he obviously knows that's the case, doesn't he? He's not taking himself too seriously.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, all right, I know this looks a bit silly, so I'll play. I think he plays it very well. So, 7 for me, for gags.
Yeah. I only went 6, actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with,
Girls.
in the words of Father Jack,
Girls.
girls. Right, Melina, obviously Carol Bouquet. Richard Maybaum wanted her to be more independent and for her to be more resistant to Bond and actually refuse Bond's advances.
Okay.
Which she does until the very end.
Yeah.
But I think Richard Maybaum in the script wanted it to be more of a thing in the script.
Okay.
Which is something, again, probably a little bit ahead of her time in terms of what subsequently followed in some of the other movies. It never quite made it to the screen, whether that was, John Glenn or whoever, I don't know. Her revenge story, I think, is quite good.
Yeah.
But I think they could have maybe done a bit more with it. It's sort of mentioned a couple of times in passing, but I don't know. Could have done a bit more with the revenge story, I think.
Yeah, I suppose it just gives her a genuine reason for being there and genuine motivation to keep.
I think they could have played on that
really.
motivation a bit more. Maybe have her say a few times that she was after revenge or something. Especially given the reference to Elektra, I think that was something they could have made a bit more of. Cassandra Harris as Liesel, of course. Small part, but she's very memorable.
Yeah.
I think the fact you see her go from the posh woman to being sort of who she really is, talking about coming from Liverpool and all that sort of stuff, I think it's quite a nice touch. BB, we've talked about, quite a divisive figure.
Yeah.
Some people really don't like BB, but I'm
Actually, I find that I kind of think the actress is probably really sound, and she's probably having a good old time. She gets the assignment right. Like I said about J.W. Pepper, although there's a lot more problems with him in his second appearance. I was really fond of him in the first one, where I know he's a very decisive figure. I've taken the piss out of BB quite a lot this evening, but I enjoyed the performance from Lynn Holly Johnson.
Holly Johnson, yeah. And again, she's been really good over the years at sort of engaging with the fans and that sort of thing. I think the really 007 guys have interviewed her and that sort of thing. I think they're pretty. I think she's a nice part of the community. So, what are you saying for girls?
I've gone 7.
I have also gone 7.
Okay.
And that is our scoring.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to do some maths. This is always a highlight of the show. So much so that we actually cut away so that you don't have to watch us doing it, which we'll do right now. We have some scores. It's all terribly exciting. We're going to add them onto the BondBoard now. So, I've inputted your data. And I have scored it 80, and Tom has scored it 84, so slightly higher.
Yeah.
Giving us a grand total for Your Eyes Only, 164, which, if my maths are correct, and they aren't usually, puts it above Diamonds Are Forever, but 1 point below You Only Live Twice, in 9th place.
Yes.
Am I right with that?
What?
9th out of the 12 movies we've done so far.
Yeah. What's that?
So solid but unspectacular, I think, is the verdict. You're looking puzzled at the board. Numbers are confusing, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm right though, aren't I? It's 9th, isn't it?
So, because 8... 165.
8 is 165.
So it's got to be 8.
So it slides in underneath that, but 9th is Diamonds Are Forever 157. So yes, it's above the 2. So it's 164, which means it goes into 9th place. That is where we have positioned For Your Eyes Only. And thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much to both of you for the show this evening. Yeah, no, very, very nice. I hope we'll be yes, exactly. Yeah. Hope we'll be seeing you both again. Right, next time we will, of course, be moving to the 13th movie in the series, which is
Octopussy.
Which is going to be terribly interesting as James Bond visits India. So, thank you very much. Sorry I've had a cold this week. I've had a bit of a cold, don't know if I've mentioned.
God.
But sorry, I managed. I battled through it bravely.
Yeah.
We're good. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time. Thank you very much. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.
I'll drink to that.
Getting your germs.
Sorry.